I found breathwork about 5 years ago. A business coach of mine introduced me to a woman that he'd worked with, and over almost 2 decades of working with my body, with Feldenkrais and different yoga from Kriya to Kundalini, and then Kampo and ayahuasca and mushrooms, and pretty much everything I could get my body mind into, I had a lot of different profound experiences, but nothing as simple or fast as that first breath work experience. I felt like I'd been plugged into an electric circuit, like lightning was ripping through me in a good way. My heart walls came down, I dropped tensions, they just dissolved my depression. And the crazy mind chatter that made me feel like I was going crazy most of my life, the anxiety that I never thought I could be free of, poof, gone in a breath cycle. I experienced such an expanded state of awareness of who I am and what life is that I sat up and I realized, I've got to learn how to do this. I'm going to share this with people. And one of the main things that I keep hearing over the past 5 years of leading this breath work with many people around the world in person and from a distance, that people will say things to me like, oh my gosh, that was like 30 years of therapy rolled up in one session of breath work, and it's just changed my life. Other people have told me that they've talked about and I've known about this issue in their life for so long, and they feel like they've actually let it go out of their bodies, out of their nervous systems. Their bodies have shaken off all that trauma. And they've reported that things like old resentments or old sadness, essentially what we're working with is dissolving core tensions out of the nervous system, and they're gone, all in the breath. Any overwhelming experiences that doesn't get digested in the moment lodges in the nervous system and is some form of trapped tension. That's what trauma is, and it influences how we see everything, even if how we're seeing things isn't the truth. So as you start to dissolve these core tensions using breathwork as part of a very functional integrated methodology that I teach in my private sessions and that I'm going to offer you in my upcoming Out of the Blues Total Nervous System Reset program, you're going to get to that place where you're living in the nervous system and working with it so that it opens the space of your mind to actually start to heal. It allows your heart to open, it allows love to grow, and it's not based in the outer conditions. So breathwork is a very, very simple tool. It's exponential. And the more that you work with it, the more you're going to benefit as you start building up from the 1-minute breath exercises to the 60-minute Kundalini breath. That's all contained inside of this Breathe Fully journey that I hope that you're going to take with me. If this experience is completely new to you, the breath work, you've never done some form of it before, or you aren't used to breathing through your mouth over time, it's going to feel a bit strange for some of you. And for others of you, you're going to be excited. You're going to feel like the brain fog just clears. And for some of you, you may get a little nervous. Just remember that you can go at your own pace and you can repeat all 12 of these guided breath fully exercises. So the first day you start, you're likely to feel maybe slight tingling and vibrating. It's almost like that feeling of when you've been asleep and you're just starting to wake up again. And as you get into the longer ones, like the 3 diaphragm breathwork practice, something similar that usually starts around your hands, your face, or your feet, but it could start anywhere. So just be open to being surprised and get curious about this. When you do, you might start to begin to feel this sensation that you actually can direct it wherever you put your attention. Energy is going to start to build for better or for worse all the way through life. And even when you're not doing breath work, over the 5 years of practice, there have been periods where I did this practice every single day. And this last year has been one of them. Every single morning, whether I want to or not. The first thing I do is I start my day with maybe 30 to 60 minutes of breath work, and then I'll go into 30 minutes of meditation or longer if I have the time. And by no means am I saying that you need to do that much to achieve a great result. Just start practicing the breath. Every morning it kicks my day off. I need less caffeine, I have more energy, I've burnt off any of that sleepiness from overnight, and my entire nervous system and brain is being activated. I'm training my lungs to be able to receive great amounts of oxygen and be full in any room. The person with the strongest relationship to their breath basically runs the interactions and is leading, whether it's silently or out loud, to get the maximum impact out of this program. Each time you run through a breath work of your choice, you'll want to prepare your space first. Allow first of all space in your schedule. Give yourself at least an hour if you can. Each breathwork practice varies from 1 minute to around 40 to 60 minutes. So give yourself time to process your experiences afterwards. I can't stress that enough. You're going to have profound insights, and perhaps you want to make a few notes in your journal and just think about how you want to apply what you've already experienced to your next dive in the next day. Also, preparing your physical space. Ideally, you want to lie completely flat. If you're able, have nothing under your head. You want the throat to be able to really be fully open so that the back of your head is on the same line as the top of your torso. If you've got any lower back tension, you can place a couple of pillows to your liking under your knees, and what that will do is create a little bit of traction in your spine. You just might get some relief of all these old conditions as the breathwork releases the muscles along the spine and anywhere else in your body. So finally, a couple of very strong things can happen as you have releases of old stuck trauma energies to places particularly that can actually physically start cramping up. And I want to encourage you to know that you're safe and nothing's gone wrong. It's exactly where you need to be. And you're actually having a release that will ultimately benefit you. So the hands can sometimes deeply cramp up, all the way into having exorcist arms. I went through this for the first 6 months of doing breathwork myself, where my arms would spasm and contort into all sorts of crazy positions. And just know that there is a meridian pathway, an energy line in Chinese medicine that runs from the pinky all the way up into the heart chakra, and it's called the heart meridian. And what we're doing is we're releasing old stuck energy around the heart center, which is usually old fear that we don't even remember putting there. You see, most of us didn't grow up with an enlightened parent, and we conflated. We confused unconsciously connecting with people we love with carving some of their emotional pain out and carrying that physically in our bodies. So what if you didn't have to do that anymore? What if you could set yourself free to actually start to choose to be safely embodied? Breathwork is the fastest way to get you there. And what you're going to see is, as this old fear that got built like an armor to attempt to protect yourself starts to release and dissolve, that's when the cramping can happen. And I know it can seem pretty counterintuitive, but it is working. The other place that can cramp up is your mouth. It can literally purse up or start curling up on the sides, and it's happened for me a lot here around my mouth and also the outsides of my eyelids and my brows. And that has to do, again, with releasing tension off the entire throat and your brow chakra, so that you can become somebody who's free to speak again in your truth, and that has the intuition and the clear sightedness, whether that's through your art, whether that's through photography or journaling or singing or whatever takes your fancy. Or it might just be simply speaking and seeing your truth in a moment that needs to be spoken to without aggression, suppression, or any kind of blame, shame, or regret. And as you continue to breathe for longer periods of time and with more intensity, you might have that feeling that you're trying to chase that experience from that day or outrun it if it was really, really intense for you, and maybe more than you were prepared for. But then by day 4 or 5 of your breathwork practice, you're probably going to start to feel much more lighthearted and want to play. So the main encouragement I really, really want to give you is to keep a lighthearted sense of play about the whole thing. Be in the mood of discovery and curiosity. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to experience this. The breath will meet you wherever you are every time you engage with it. So sometimes it's going to feel more physical, very strong physical sensations, and sometimes you're just going to have a big emotional release, and you might not even know why. Just tears are streaming. Don't worry about that. You can drink more water and fill yourself back up afterwards. That's just how some people move energy. And whether it's about love or joy or releasing old stuck grief and sadness, you're in the right place. Keep open to discovering new things with awe and that beautiful childlike wonder that maybe you are experiencing for the first time, especially if you are a parentified child. And remember, that's your greatest ally and a super deep secret to going profoundly further in any practice of meditation. The more you relax and soften your body, which I'll guide you through on each session, the deeper the experience goes, a lot more quickly and with a lot less personal effort. It's going to become second nature to you. I am so excited to travel with you over these next 12 days together as we start to focus on the breath. And this is how we're going to go. Some days it's going to be forceful out of your nose, and other days we're going to breathe all through the mouth. So I hope you're ready. Here we go.